Welcome to Page Rendering Part 2. I'm more comfortable with the tree view, so I'm going to minimize all of these different pieces. So now I have the ability to go in there and select what type of code and where it's going to execute on the page. In the before header section, I can create branches, computations, or processes. What are each one of these pieces? A branch is exactly what it sounds like. You have the ability to branch to another page in your application, or you can specify a URL that you want to branch to. Why in the world would you ever want to branch to some other page before the header is even displayed on the page? Well, I can think of a couple of examples where you would want to do something like that. You may have another page inside of your application that checks to see whether the user is accessing the page from a desktop or from a mobile device. So you may want to branch even before you display this page to say, okay, where am I being accessed from? If I'm being accessed from a traditional desktop, then maybe redirect back to this page and display the page normally. If the user is accessing the application from a mobile device, you may have another branch in that other page that says, you know what, don't redirect back to this page, page number 3, you can see here in the breadcrumb for this particular page. Don't redirect back to page number 3, maybe redirect to page number 50, which is a mobile representation of the page. Another example of why you might want to have a branch before the header is even displayed on this page is if you've gone to a website where sometimes you pull up a piece of information and you're automatically redirected to like an advertisement that you have to sit through for 15 seconds or 30 seconds before you can see the content on your page. There may be a requirement that you have to provide that type of information inside your application. So before the header, before the page is even displayed, page number 3 in this case, maybe you branch to some other page, display an advertisement for 15 seconds, and then get redirected back to this page. A computation is exactly what it sounds like. I want to take some item on my page, and I want to perform some kind of computation on it. Maybe it's as simple as querying the date and time from the database and displaying it on the page as the header gets loaded. Maybe it's taking some other value that's going to be displayed on the page and manipulating that in some way. Now, if we create a computation here before the header, we haven't actually pulled any information from the database yet. When I ran this page earlier, you see that it pulled up the first record from the database and displayed it in my form. But because I'm looking at code here before the header, I haven't even executed the select statement to pull back that first row in my database yet. A process can be any number of different things. And to give you an example of that, I'm going to right-click on Processes and select Create. You can see that I have all of these different things that I can execute as part of a page process. Maybe it's a little piece of PL/SQL code. Maybe I need to reset the pagination inside my application. Maybe I want to execute a plugin. A plugin is a way of extending the functionality inside of Oracle Application Express. I can change the session state, where maybe I need to redefine a lot of the session parameters that go along with this particular application. Maybe I want to manipulate data that's on the page. I can call a web service. I can change the pagination in my form. I can send an email if I have email configured inside of the database where we're running Oracle Application Express. Maybe I need to close a pop-up window, or I can run something called an on-demand process. We'll take a look at those a little later. As an example of what you can do with a process, I'm going to create a little PL/SQL process now. So if I select PL/SQL, it'll say, okay, what type of process do you want to create? So I'm going to call this movie audit process. And what this is going to do is every time I access this page, I'm going to write out a record to my database saying this user accessed this page at this particular time. Again, I can change the point of where this particular process is going to run. For now, I'll just leave it before the header. So as soon as a user wants to access this page, this process will run, and it's going to run this little PL/SQL anonymous block and write out some audit information to my database. When I click on Next, I'm taken to the next page in the wizard where I have to specify, okay, what PL/SQL do I want to run? In order to save time here, I've already pre-typed out this little PL/SQL package that I'm just going to copy from my text pad here. So what does this do? I declare this variable called audit date. I select sysdate into audit date from dual. So as soon as this page is accessed, I'm going to call the sysdate function inside the database. And then I'm going to insert into this movie audit table that I've created a couple of values. There's audit date, which is obviously the date and time of when this page was accessed. But then I have this weird kind of variable here called v, open parentheses, single quote, app user, close quote, close parentheses. What is that? There are certain substitution variables that are available to you inside of Oracle Application Express that you can use to get information about users and other various things that are running inside of your Oracle Application Express application. Where can you find this information? Well, if you do a search on substitution strings in the Oracle documentation site, you can find all the different substitution strings that are available to you inside of Oracle Application Express. You can see that there's a whole bunch of different things where we can get information about our current environment. We can see things like the application ID, session information. Here's what we're interested in, app_user. That'll give us who's logged in to our particular application at any particular time.